There'll be a special meeting. Couple things to take care of. First is we're gonna have I'll let the roll call show that Mike is absent this evening. Alex has some property that she would like approval for disposal. Alex, you wanna talk about that?
It's all the stuff that we have went over, and what's being replaced. Some of it's not quite ready to go out, tomorrow, but I do have a good majority of things that need disposed of. We are going through the safe, and we have like directories from 1994 and stuff like that, that we don't need to keep anymore. So I just need approval to start disposing of that, so it's out in my office for the next month.
The desk, computers.
Yep, desks are the ones that we will be replacing. We're replacing 2 of those desks. 2 are just extra, that have been in there, that are not needed. The 2 computers are the ones, and computer monitors we're replacing. Obviously the stuff with the computer devices, what we can save, we'll just keep, and what we need to dispose of, we'll dispose of.
The printers are the extra ones that have been sitting in the office for the last number of years.
They're non-functional, they've just been sitting there. There's a radio that's like 15, 20 years old in there. I found it in the safe. We don't need that anymore.
Sure. House cleaning.
Yeah, we have old credit card machines that just need disposed of. And then wires from previous machines that I don't even know what machine they go to. We just have like plugins to things, but I don't know where they go, so just that stuff.
Is there a motion to?
I'll make a motion to dispose of the items.
Second.
Been a motion made, properly second. All those in favor of disposing of the items, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, I think the meeting tonight was to have a discussion on a building permit. The building is on property that we are having an engineering study done for a possible roadway. Ashley, do you have anything you'd like to?
There's, was it April, the town board voted to do preliminary engineering reports on, I believe it was 3 separate areas. And where this building is going up is in one of those areas. Preliminary engineering report is not finished yet. We are expecting it back mid-month, July. I think it's prudent that nobody build permanent structures until after we have the engineering report back and the town has disposed of that report, whichever way they choose fit to dispose of it.
I think some of the things that we were talking about doing with that area was to benefit starting the public safety and first responders, to add that school and the waterway that could possibly go through that area.
Water line, yes.
And that was to help improve our water lines and the loop system.
Part of the engineering report is they will look at a number of factors and present options to the town of Dayton. So when they look at these areas, these areas are focused around the long dead-end streets that we have in town. So the town of Dayton has 3 long dead-end streets. That's problematic. When you get to the end of the street, there's nowhere to turn around except for somebody's driveway. In case of garbage trucks, they have to back up down the street. Obviously, for first responders, firefighters, it's problematic on a dead-end street. These dead-end streets also have dead-end water lines at the end of the streets. On a couple of these, we can tie some water lines together that promotes the overall health of the water system. So the engineering study will give the town information, what is best to do with these streets. Nothing at all, build cul-de-sacs at the end of those streets, connect them to other existing streets. So the engineering report will lay out all these options, and then, you know, the board and you know, residents can comment, and, you know, take care of whatever items they wish to take care of at one time. So going back to the reason why we're here tonight, you know, when we have this type of land, and there's, you know, nothing on it, you know, that's obviously the best time to correct a problem if you're going to correct it. And the town, you know, hasn't decided one way or another until they get the engineering reports back. But when you have buildings go up that potentially would be in a pathway or hinder the town's decision-making capability or add expense to acquiring land to do whatever the town board may wish to do with these areas, you know, that's problematic. You know, are we saying that a person should never ever be able to build something in these areas? No, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, let's get these engineering reports back, and the town dispose of those reports in whatever fashion they're going to dispose of them, and then you can go ahead and, you know, build a building or maybe move it over 10 feet or whatever, you know, to accommodate, you know, what, you know, this town needs.
Could I say something?
How about the audience?
Well, let me say something first. There's a lot of things I want to say. First of all, we planned and bought this land a long, long time ago, and we went to area plan with maps showing 15, 20 years ago what we wanted to do with this land. Build historic buildings and everything, and it's taken us a long time. This actually is the start of a 1790s reproduction barn from Sturbridge or Deerfield, Massachusetts. And it goes along with a house that's on our area plan map. And so, just like in our front field, there's going to be a colonial house, log cabins and stuff like that. So we've been planning for a long time. We don't want our land, let's be fair here, it's not taking our land or doing whatever, it's stealing our land. But there was never a problem. You guys are doing an engineering, I talked to the engineers yesterday, and if you're going to do an engineering study, it seems like you would have the fire department, the police department reports on giving them so they can make a decision on what kind, how to proceed from there. But the way I understand, Ashley, you've given them directions basically to draw in a road and tell them where, they told me yesterday,
No.
tell them where the area.
No.
Let me please, I didn't interrupt you one time, so please don't interrupt me. Okay, anyway, that's what they said yesterday, the guy drawing up the plan. I watched him in the field, he talked to me, I talked to him afterward, and I called him yesterday. But you still don't, how can the engineers draw up a plan when you don't have any, does the fire department think it's a hazard? I've talked to the garbage company, they say there's no problem. There's a 75-foot cul-de-sac back there now. You know, I enlarged it. They got to get this information. They're not going after it the way that guy talked, the engineer, the head engineer. He talked like they're going to have an option, how much it costs for putting in a road across there. It's not going to be options on like, you don't need a road, you need this, you need that, maybe this and that. It's how much does it cost to put a road across there. And everybody, just so you know, first of all, I come to a meeting and here's what greets me. This is the kind of stuff I get. Joe, I get no mail, I get no correspondence, I got no claims, I get nothing for 2 years, and I get this kind of crap every time I turn around, okay? Now, this land we're talking about is land that Cindy and I sold Ashley and Lisa their property quite a few years ago. Ashley asked me then to buy this part of this land. When he was building his house, he asked me to buy this land that they're talking about stealing or taking or legally stealing or whatever. He's begged me to buy this land for 2 years, and I refused. I said he could use my land if he had a contract written up that he was using my land. He refused. He told me go out and survey it and pay the money and get the lawyer. I gave him a year to do that and said, if you don't do it, I'm gonna move my fence over. I had to locate people out there, and within 3 weeks of locating that property, well, first of all, I was out there on my own property, and Lisa calls the police to have me arrested
Okay, let's
for
stay on
standing.
topic.
Because this all
It's
has
on
to do with the
topic.
topic, this has to do with the whole thing. So, the police come out for 2 hours, and I'm accused of, they're trying to have me jailed or something, and finally we work all that out. Scott, there's no report on it, because Scott didn't write a report on it. I asked for a report. Then, within 3 weeks at the next meeting, Ashley comes up in the last 5 minutes, not on the agenda, it's not anywhere, in the last 5 minutes, slaps his paper down with the thing that he's gonna, proposing that they spend $10,000 to $11,000 on the surveys and everything, and they okay it within 10 minutes. It was okayed ahead of time, like everything else is around here, and it's our land, and he's talking about doing this, and stealing or taking our land and using our land. Now, we got a legal permit, the engineers say we got a legal permit, the lawyers say we got a legal permit, and as far as I'm concerned, you guys talked a few weeks ago about maybe a right-of-way in there for utilities. Now it sounds like the only reason you've already made up your mind, sound like the engineer, you made up your mind to do a road. And one other thing, for 40 years out here, BF&S has been our engineer on everything out here, and all of a sudden, Ashley hires his own engineer that's worked for him before, and now that's who's working for the town because he requested it, and they're having this new engineer do this work who's worked for Ashley before. So, it's a legal thing. If you guys decide to take that, you can buy the building, you can do whatever you want to, but you haven't even decided, you don't have any engineering. In fact, you don't even want to see it, do you, Ashley? Just keep laughing and smiling. There's what it is. It's a beautiful building. Here's a map from 18 years ago, okayed with area plan for all the buildings back there, and there's a barn and a house back there. Now, we were planning that, we bought our land, we spent our money, and we don't need it destroyed. Everybody back there, it's going to take away the, nobody wants it, it's going to devalue our houses, ruin our land, and that's what you're out to get us, Ashley, because you can't use our land, and that's what you want to do. You've threatened me, you've stood up here, said I'm not one of the boys, you've grabbed everything on your body, shaking it and calling me a liar, and the other day in the office, and you know certainly you're grabbing at your crotch, and you tell me, well, Ron, you're not one of the boys out there. I say, I don't get any information, and you said, well, if you'd play along with us and be one of the group, then maybe we'd let you in on this stuff. And that's what it is. So you're not taking our land, we'll go to court, we'll go to the state, we'll file everything we can, we'll remonstrate, but you're not taking our land over some bullshit crap. That's it. Go put where the road should be, guys, is Ashley stuck his house illegally at the end of Wesleyan Drive where there's supposed to be a cul-de-sac there. He doesn't put one. And the road should come around if you do it and right down his drive. And by the way, your cement slab, part of it where he parks is on our property. Your 400 amp service is on our property and your water's on our property. And that's why he wants our property. It's a proven fact, you know. So tell all these people you're going to ruin everything back here. Yeah, you can speak, and then I'll speak.
There's so much BS in that, I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
First off,
Let's take a lie detector test, and we'll see who's BS.
Yeah.
This time.
First off, DS&S Engineering has never worked for me, nor has any of their employees worked for me. I don't know where this is coming from.
Well, Randy Slosher said they did, and he's the guy you had out here to do it. So he said he did work for you before.
No, he
Randy?
hasn't.
Well, he said you did. I asked him, does he ever work for Ashley? He said, yes, we have. So I guess we'd talk to him and get it answered. And if that's wrong, fine, but that's what he said.
By work for me, that means I've employed them or
He's done some engineering work for you at your request, whether it's for an owner of yours or for you
Okay.
No,
or something.
It's none of the above.
All right, well, that's what he said.
I
That's what he said.
I know him from when he was the mayor of Delphi.
Well, I do too.
Okay, I
That's
know
what
when
he said.
worked for the street department of Delphi.
Okay, why did you switch from
Okay.
BF&S? Why did after 40 years we have them do
One at a
1,000%?
time, please.
You know? Why did we switch from BF&S?
I don't know that we have switched. Is it good to diversify? We're having BF&S do all the general, Dollar General work. I'm sure
Well, they did everything.
when the truck place, when they come around, I'm sure the BF&S will be involved in that. We have not stopped using BF&S.
Why don't we use them on this?
I don't care.
Well, let's redo it and have them do it.
You know, we tried to use BF&S for other projects, and quite frankly, their rates were.
The BF&S will do this for less than $10,000, I guarantee you, and so.
I
you're
doubt
having
that.
them-
They wanted $12,000 to engineer
Yeah.
drainage over on Republican Street.
Yeah,
Give me a
well-
break.
Ashley, I think it's because I know BF&S and you think they're my friends, and so you think you can control the other company.
Ron, I'm not trying to control anybody.
I'm trying to
You know,
control and take my land,
the engine-
Ashley.
Ron, let Ashley finish his. Ashley?
So anyway, when the engineering, when the request for engineering study was ordered, we instructed them to look at options. So we're talking about different areas, so different areas would have different options. As it pertains to Shady Lane and West Lynn Drive, obviously a road connecting those two for the 50 yards or whatever it is with a water right-of-way attached to it makes a lot of sense. Does that rule out the possibility of cul-de-sacs at the end of both of those? No, it doesn't. Or maybe something where it's financially not feasible to do any of it. You know, when you talk about, you know, the other areas, which is, you know, in the South Street down here and in double 90-degree turns in Shady Lane, you know, there's different options or different solutions to those. So when we get an engineering report, I for one expect to see different options. You know, which one will be the best, that remains to be determined. You know, maybe you just say heck with it and don't do any of them.
Well, that's good.
So you
Do you have written instructions you can share with us? Sorry.
You wait until you're.
Yes, sir.
Well, you've been told before.
Oh, excuse me.
So, as far as anything being cast in stone, it certainly is not. That's why it's a preliminary engineering report.
Okay,
You
can
know,
we,
after the preliminary, if the town board chooses, they can move on different aspects of it or not do anything at all. You know, by the way, we're also doing somewhat of a survey report on the drainage dish out here to try to get it cleaned up. VS is also doing that work.
actually, the reason I mention this is because, I'll try to be calm here, is because when I talked to the engineer, he talked like it was a road. He didn't say, so you're telling me they're gonna give us an estimate on 2 cul-de-sacs, on just an estimate on doing the loop system underground with no road or anything? They're gonna give us an estimate on that?
I expect to see different options, you know, for the best.
Yes or
I
no on those
expect for
3
them-
questions? Yes or no on those 3 questions?
It's not
Are they
yes or
gonna
no.
do are they gonna give us an estimate on just doing a loop? Are they gonna give us a question on doing 2 cul-de-sacs? And are they gonna give us an estimate on, doing a road? So that you guys can say, okay, this one's 100,000, this one's 200,000, this one's 30,000. Or is it, I get the feeling it's gonna come in with one estimate for doing a road, and it's gonna be made to sound like that's our only option, because that's what I've basically been told. And then coupled with all this, we're talking about one piece of ground here where the building is. The second proposal Ashley did is taking our beautiful 4-acre field here, where it's our retirement home and colonial, it's gonna be a miniature village, and he's taken it all these years. Has anybody ever thought about just taking Shady Lane and running it right through the middle of it?
No.
You know? You know, you're talking about 2 things. It's 3 weeks after you don't want me to move my fence, and you're threatening me that I better not move my fence.
Let's talk about
You
your
know?
fence, okay? You
Yeah.
won't talk about it so daggone bad, okay?
Well, yeah, because you want it so bad.
It's your fence, it's on your property, I know that, I know where the lines are. Now, you and I have a little bit of dispute, be honest with everybody, we have a little bit of dispute where you think they are and where I think they are. By the way, when Lisa and I built our house, it was surveyed, it was marked, utilities were put in. I am quite certain that they put the utilities in on our property. He talks about the electrical service being on his property. I disagree with that.
The box is on your property, right, but the line.
Well, you just told these people it was all on my
Yeah,
property.
yeah,
Ron,
listen,
so-
yeah, the 400 or 200 amp line going up is on our property, actually.
You know, I am not trying
If
to
I
steal.
took a
I
scissors
am
and
not
cut
trying-
it, your house would be black.
You know, you keep using the word that I'm trying to steal your property and all that.
Well, you are.
I'm not.
You so you are. You told me, Ashley.
You talk about
You
me
told
playing-
me I better not move my fence over there, or you're going to get it. You're going to pay for it. You told me that before. I asked to just move my fence over within a foot or two. It's on the GIS. You won't let me do it. He demands that I get a $2,000 survey, and I pay to have a lawyer and survey. And so when your wife called the police, Scott said, "Here's the solution."
Wow, if I could demand that stuff from you, wouldn't that be
Yeah,
fantastic?
well, you were,
You're your own
but
man, you're gonna
listen,
do what you
Scott
want.
suggested we each pay half of it. He comes up, talks to you, and you refuse, and you know what your answer was, Scott said? He said, Ashley said, get a lawyer and fight this out over the next 6, 7 years. I even offered to pay for the whole survey and all the legal work, and I knew it was a game with you. You've been playing a game for 2 years.
Ron, if you wanna survey that,
So I can move that fence over tonight. When I get home, I can move it over within 2 foot of the lot line. Because we know where it is, the stakes are under there, I've got everything mapped out from when you put in the stakes and I measured from my split rail fence. So you're saying I can move that over to the lot line?
I think it would be very ugly, but you know, whatever you want, it's your property, okay?
Why would it be ugly? It's my fence, what's ugly about my fence? So I can move it over is what you're saying.
You keep saying that I'm trying to steal your land, I'm not trying to steal your land.
Yes, you
I
are.
can care less about it.
You're trying to steal our land and get it
You
back
say-
at my
you know,
wife.
we're
You're
petty-
trying to
we're
get back
petty-
at my wife.
We're petty
No, I'm
neighbors
not
here.
giving you a break.
You know, when I cut the grass, am I cutting part of your property? Yeah, I probably am.
I can't even cut my own grass, guys. Ashley won't let me cut my
Or
grass.
have a seat.
I go on my land to cut my grass, and he asked me not to cut it so that he can cut it. And then he says to me, you can't take over land after 6, 7 years, and 3 lawyers plus the marshal says after 6, 7 years you can apply for abandonment of land and take it over. You lied there too. Everything
That's
with
an
you.
urban legend, if that was true,
It's
the
not.
court system would be full.
Scott, what did the marshal say when he's out there? Did he say you could file in court and take it?
I am the marshal.
No, the sheriff.
No, you're taking words out of context.
Okay, what did he say that day?
That's a shocker.
What did he
I can't
say?
believe
What
Mr.
did he
Keller
say,
is
Scott?
taking words
I'm
out
not
of
going into
context.
Yeah, he'll never say anything. Scott won't
No.
because, yeah.
This has got nothing to do with the police department.
Yeah. Well, the police were there, then why were the police there that day? If it's got nothing to do with the police department.
Probably keep.
To settle a peaceful dispute
Yeah,
between
it
two
settled.
neighbors.
It settled it, didn't it?
My wife was afraid for her safety.
Oh,
Oh,
please.
for God's sakes, Ashley, I was
Oh,
out there
please.
alone. Well, you can't say crap like that. I was out there alone with the guy. She wasn't even out there. She comes out on me and yelling and screaming at me. Jeez.
I'm not going to fit every lawyer.
Well, let all these people talk, I guess.
Well.
We're gonna build the thing. We got a right to
Anything else
build.
you want to add to
Now that,
what we might be able to do with this?
I'll go back to the underlying premise of this meeting is, you know, the town has voted and elected to hire a preliminary engineering report that was done back in April, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, we voted on, I think, April was the second. It was submitted April the second. We took it to vote, we decided to have it done. It was in the process of being done, it's finished, but we don't have the results yet, correct?
I don't know that it's finished. When they were out walking the property, which was coincidentally just 2 days right before Mr. Fuller filed for the permit, I had spoken with him at that time, you know, about this and also about, you know, the survey for the drainage ditch. And at that time, I was told that middle part of this coming month, mid part of July, that report should be submitted to the council for review.
So I guess the whole thing, help me understand here, that the whole thing is that at this point, we would just like for the building to stop until we have our results from the engineering company.
And that we
And-
have disposed of those results, either voted not to do anything or to do with whatever options they give
Because
us.
if we had to do something where it came back, and it meant going, if you will, through your barn, or your pole barn, we might be responsible for some of the costs to,
We could ask council, but I believe when a municipality acquires property, that we pay a fair market value, and if there was a building on that property, that would add to the value of the property. So certainly it would be cheaper to buy property that is vacant than to buy that exact same property with a brand new building on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, condemnation provides for a fair market value of whatever's there.
Right. So instead of potentially adding expense to a piece of property, I think it's prudent that we wait until after the engineering report is back and the board has elected to do something with that engineering report, to dispose of it one way or another. The taxpayers of Dayton don't want to pay any more for something than.
we don't wanna have to buy a barn.
Exactly.
So
I don't think it's critical that, maybe it's not for me to say, but I don't think, the urgency to build a barn this month or maybe within the next 3 months is cause to disregard what I said earlier about, adding cost to, potentially adding cost to something.
Well, I don't,
I got a question. Ron, do you have like a better map than this drawing? Because I feel like where it's showing north, like, it's more over here. It's not straight across. Like, this drawing kind of makes it look like Westland ends directly with the cul-de-sac. And maybe it's just I'm not so
what's
familiar,
that? That isn't a cul-de-sac.
I mean, that's like where
That's south, that's a
yeah,
direction.
right here is where Dave lives, right? But isn't it
No,
that
Dave
way?
lives he's not even on that
Because I
map.
thought it was where it stops in front of his house where the cement is, and that's where they were connecting, so it's kind of like it almost went around your barn.
It
But
does,
then
we
I'm
left
hearing
it
that
out.
it's going.
I left it out 55 foot so you could do whatever garbage you
That's-
wanted to
That's what
behind
I'm
it.
trying to figure out though with this, because it looks like it's cut straight across, but that would be like,
No.
in your neighbors. That's why I didn't know if you had like a drawing.
That's a
or
little
something.
corner, that's the back section of our field there.
I know where this is at, but I'm saying how they have this drawn, I'd like to see where it actually goes, like around where your barn
Okay,
is.
go to the end
Because
of
it-
Wesleyan Drive,
it seems
and
like
at
it
that
might
corner,
even
see that corner of
just
Wesleyan
feel
Drive,
like that.
Tyrone?
Yeah,
Just stand out there and it's straight 45 foot in from the corner of Wesleyan Drive, and then it goes straight east.
no,
Yeah.
no, I mean, I'm fine with that, I'm just saying where Dave's house is, how that road, if they were gonna put in some kind of utility easement or whatever for like an
Yeah.
emergency,
Well, go up.
wouldn't that curve around it? Because I looked at it
Well,
the
yeah,
other
it'd
day,
curve around, yeah.
and I just didn't know, would that still be the distance already set, or is it?
I think it'd
straight
go,
through like that?
utility easement and everything would all go behind the barn and go behind those spruce and everything. That's why I set them up there, so you could put that all behind there. But what Ashley's
Well,
wanting
can
to do.
we wait until
No, we
after
can't.
the
No,
engineering
no.
report to see if that's?
No, actually, I don't,
That's
I
the
think we
right
should have
time.
waited to paint $20,000, paint this town hall. But you guys didn't want to, why should we? I'm not gonna wait on my building.
It didn't cost
You guys can do-
$20,000 to
you can
paint this
do-
town hall.
And repair all the stuff and carpet and all that, but couldn't we wait on that? You guys didn't want to, I don't wanna wait on our barn. I don't think our neighbors want us to, I don't think my wife wants to. We got every legal right to buy it, if you wanna go in and steal our land and
Okay.
take it out
We've been
and pay
there.
for the barn. You know, guys, this is, you're talking about, you want me to be calm, you're talking about we've had that land for 45 years and tailored it. It looks like a park back there, and you guys are talking about not rezoning something or saying you can't do this. You're talking about actually taking a person's land and taking it from them and ruin what they got planned there. And you know that, Ashley. Why don't you run that damn thing through your house? And take your house and remove the, why did you build your house there? That's truly where the road should go, where your house is. Why did you build your house there? knowing, by the way, you lived there 2 years and it's never a problem putting this in. You've been a council member out here for 30, or lived here for 30 years, never a problem. You owned that land for 15 years and never once. It's only once when I wanted to move my fence over. And it's payback time now. So,
Well,
but put it where it should be. Put it
Hey,
through your
Ron.
driveway.
Well, that may very well be the path that they choose.
It's not going to, because I talked to them yesterday and they said that you said to keep it over there, the utilities are there. I said, those are private utilities. And they said, well, we don't want to get the utilities. I said, well, they're not my problem, they're not my utilities. Put it where it should be. They're not, they've been directed by you, Ashley. He told me, you stood up there and pointed it to him. I think that's wrong. And by the way, if we're involved in it's my land, I don't even know about this meeting. Alex, you don't even call me. I come up here and there's a notice on the thing. You could at least call me when it's involved taking my land.
Hold up here.
You know, don't hold up me. Don't put your
You
finger
got a
at me.
text and an email exactly when all the other emails went out. Everybody found out at the same time when I
You
got
could have
it.
told it, well.
Everybody got notified at the same time, Ron. Don't even go there with me.
Okay,
No.
okay, look,
No,
the
don't
surveying
accuse me
thing
of lying.
then.
No, you were notified.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
No.
Check your email. Check your text message.
I
You
wanna
didn't respond.
I want to tell you something about my conversation with VS Engineering when they were out there the other day. Yeah, they talked to you when they were out there, they also talked to me. You know, part of that conversation, you know, we talked about different options, we talked about roads, we talked about cul-de-sacs, you know, we also talked about connecting the water lines, okay? So for you to sit here and say that the road's the only thing is not correct.
Well, I hope it's
You
not.
are, well, you hope.
Well, that's what, I'm doing by
You know,
what he told me,
You know, you're
Ashley.
just slinging to see what
I'm not
sticks to the wall.
slinging, I'm
You
not,
are.
well, you're slinging a
It's
mud
woe is me,
crap too,
woe is
you know?
me, you know.
Yeah, well, woe is me, you're using, get off my land then. Get off right now and don't mow my land. Now you're mowing up in front of the cemetery on the land, you're coming on around. Then the other day you mowed for your party, you mowed down along Wesleyan Drive on my land, then you take and steal the sign out of a yard and put it up in your thing.
Oh my gosh, Ron,
You
you're the
know?
most wrong person I've ever met.
Well, was it stolen, and was there pictures of it up in your house?
Right.
There certainly was.
I took it back to you, I don't know who put the sign.
Yeah, I was only there all damn night, you didn't know it was out there, yeah, okay.
Hey, Ron, how long have you been planning your barn?
Long
It
enough.
doesn't
I
matter,
asked you.
it doesn't matter, what does it matter?
How long have you had this in progress?
I don't know, what, the
Years.
permit or the
No,
whole
like your
idea?
little farm family.
I don't know, it doesn't matter, I can't think how long it's been a while.
And then-
We've been doing a general store, we moved in outbuildings, we did a big barn across the road. We're doing log cabins, I got 2 permits for log cabins here this year. You know, it takes time. We had quadruplets and all this stuff that delayed us for a lot of time. You know, I don't know what you're
Well,
getting at.
Well, what I'm getting at, it's just funny that once we
Yeah, it's funny,
have
yeah,
a
it's funny.
survey, that you start building all of a sudden. But that's my opinion.
Well, that's okay, too bad. You know? It's funny that all of a sudden, I went to move my fence, and within 3
Well, it's
weeks,
the fence.
and it's all of a sudden, Ashley's taking my land because he demands I don't move my fence. Isn't that awful funny? It's awful funny, we picked a new engineer without even telling a council member that we're even picking one. I'm not included in anything, ever, up here. I don't even, why wasn't I included in picking an engineer out?
We did it at the.
Oh, that's a little funny
did it right
too,
up
you
here,
know?
didn't you?
No, he didn't, it was all picked out, and they said we're having VS, it'll cost 10 to 11,000.
Next,
The guy was out
next
there.
engineering project we get involved in, we'll let you pick
Yeah,
whoever,
okay,
whatever
yeah.
companies.
Well, I'll tell you what, the next building I build, I'll let you come down and help me get a permit on it. You know? You're not gonna tell me what to do and not do. I don't come over to your house and say, don't build your garage, I don't like the look of it, or the town might put something through it. You guys wanna do something, pay for the building, pay for our land, pay for it, well, you're not going to, because we're gonna fight it. It's bull crap, and it's all harassment and intimidation and get back at us. Begged you on the email to let you have the land and just write up a contract. You refused to do that.
Send it to you and.
You didn't send me any contract, you sent me a little sentence typed out by you. I want a lawyer's thing, and I gave you a damn year and a half to do
All
it.
right, that's civil issues you can take outside here.
So, we're not gonna settle anything here, guys.
Unless the attorney.
Can the public speak?
Well,
Yes.
I would only observe that if we've got engineers out there studying, that they need to see this building permit, and so that their treasurer ought to send this building permit and its supporting documents to the engineers, so they're not out there scurrying around without knowledge of what the facts of the matter are in existence. So
That's a good idea, but I did notify him yesterday. I'm not trying to pull anything behind their back. I notified him and he asked me
that's
exactly
not
where
what
it's
I'm
going.
saying. Your notification is not an official notification of the entire group. I'm asking the town council to have this sent to the engineers so that it's part of their system.
And Joe, that's why I said it's a good
Unfortunately, in
idea.
this process-
That's why I said it's a good idea. I didn't say you
Do we
should.
need to make a motion? to
Yes,
do that?
make a motion that Tyrone, that
I would like to make a motion to send a copy of the improvement permit to the engineering firm.
Second,
So,
motion's been made, properly second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I can only do one building a year. You know, can't do everything at once.
Ashley,
I don't know if you're having public comment or.
well, we will, are you,
I think, again, that the town board should make a formal request to APC or go through whatever mechanism or systems are in place to have construction stop until after the board disposes of the preliminary engineering reports.
but you can make that kind of motion and then it's up to the area plan about what they do.
All right.
Actually, it's not, well, it is, she's the administrative officer for the town, so I guess it is up to her and the people down there. So you can make that request, whether she acts on it or not, is her judgment.
Okay.
Would it be a request or a suggestion?
I don't think either one of those makes a whole heck of a lot of
Okay.
difference, Ira. They both end up in the same place.
Yeah. What's its issue?
is there a motion?
Why don't
Are
we
we
let
making a
some
motion?
public comment first, talk about this stuff before we just decide?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll have public comments. We have 2 minutes each.
Oh my
State your
God.
name, your
Oh.
address, 2
What
minutes.
happened
When
to
did it change it from 5 minutes to 2
All
minutes?
right,
You
well,
can't do
fine. I'm
that.
getting tired of hearing it.
Well, we're getting tired of hearing you too, you
Well,
know?
then stop yelling and screaming.
That's nasty. You
Well-
wonder why everybody.
Cindy Marsh, 749 Shady Lane. Since you're not organizing a barn raising party, which I thought when I saw the sign that might be what you were up to, but then I remembered who we were dealing with here. I can tell you that we have the constitutional right to life, liberty, and property, and we will do what we want with the proper permits on our property, and nothing you can say will prevent us. If you want to try to take it by eminent domain, then you certainly can try, but we will fight it every step of the way, and we'll have most of the people on Shady Lane right along beside us. And it will be drawn out for years, and you will not get your land, mister.
I am
And-
not after your land.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, please. I'm
Now,
telling
if
you.
you can't stop with the snide comments, just
Oh,
talk.
okay, you're gonna
Just talk.
chastise me on snide comments?
I'm talking right now.
Yeah,
Or we'll end the meeting.
Yeah.
We'll end it now.
well, the meeting is virtually over because I can tell you the barn is proceeding.
Finish your comments. Okay. Next.
Dan Kiger, 750 Shady Lane. Why do you people think you have the right to tell him what he can do on his land? He got a permit, legal. If you didn't want him to do it, why didn't you go to area plan and tell him before he got the permit?
He never shares that information.
He don't have to.
Well, then, there you go.
Did you share the information with area plan that you was having an engineering study done?
It was done
No.
right here in a council meeting.
No.
Stan, there's an ethics problem when a sitting council member knows the information that he does and he scurries down there
An
to
ethics-
try.
You talking about ethics?
Yes, sir.
You?
Yes, sir. I, Ashley Stevenson.
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You're about the most corrupt councilman I've ever seen in my life.
Please enlighten me with that. Please enlighten me. I'll second that.
Next.
Renee Sievers, 736 Shady Lane. We've been here for 7 years. Mr. Kohler and Cindy have been amazing to us. They gave us firewood on the first night that we lived there because we didn't have heat yet, and we had a baby who had just had a kidney removed. We moved to Shady Lane because of the way it looks, the way it exists. Ron has had these plans for a long time. You have no right to tell him what he can do with his land. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mike?
Mike Bullis, 740 Shady Lane. I lived in Dave's house. We built in back there. That road has always been that semi-cul-de-sac. Now you talk about you can't get people back there. My wife and I, Anita, drove school buses, and we never had a problem with 2 school buses sitting back there. The cemetery is back there, and you gotta allow for that 90 by 90 square of that cemetery, because a lot of people didn't know it was there. The other thing is, it's a free country. Ron has it's his property, and if he if I wanna put another house on my land and I can do it with a permit, why can't I do it? Why can't you guys just go get a utility easement, put in your water line, bury your cables, leave the road alone? We don't need a road to tie Wesleyan Drive and Dayton, or Shady Lane together. We've never had a problem in the 27 years I've lived back there with water. And why would we be worried about connecting both the water lines? And where that, they want to put this road supposedly, you've got power, you've got water hydrants, you've got the other undergrounds. You're going to have to move it east to get past all that stuff, which would go into Ashley's property. Now, I don't know that, if they want to do that or not, but you save a lot of money by just putting another utility easement in there and not put this stupid road in. That's all I gotta say.
So you would agree that I have some to lose if that road goes through there? I mean, you just said,
Well,
utilities and
Only if they put it
everybody
where,
thinks I'm the big gainer.
no,
I'm not.
only if they put it where it should be, off Wesleyan Drive about 100 feet,
Right.
and not at the end where it cuts across all the utilities.
That could very well be the outcome. Yeah, I'll also point out that addition back there, when it was originally platted, it does show Shady and Wesleyan connecting.
But, yeah, that was
It
back
also
in,
shows part of Shady taking a different path than.
that was
than what
back
it
in the
currently is.
60s.
And it shows 26 houses there. Johnny Smith was gonna develop it, and it shows houses where your house is, and it doesn't show, you've done completely different. Everybody back there has done different. What the hell, 26, 30 years ago, somebody had a plan, that means nothing.
Shady Lane was supposed to go right straight
Right.
over to Wesleyan Drive and not even go down Ron's property either, but that's not the way it went.
Right.
And that curve you're talking about is supposed to go, on that original map, goes right around there, and it's right through Ashley's 3-car garage, and right down his drive, the Wesleyan Drive.
Right.
But they're not talking about doing that, they're not talking about going 1 foot on your property, yes.
Well,
Ron, you don't really know that.
He told me yesterday, your lead engineer told me on the phone yesterday, Ashley.
I do not have a lead engineer. I have not talked to anyone.
Well, I talked to, well, yeah, but I did. I
Ron,
went.
Ron,
I talked to
please.
garbage people, I talked to everybody.
Let's
You
finish
know?
public comment. Sir?
Warren Kohler 749 Shady Lane. Since this whole meeting's about whether or not the barn's allowed, why did you just say 20 minutes ago that we can move our fence over? What are the limitations? Can you plant a tree? Can you mow the grass? What are the rules until something's approved? Not whether or not you need the road or not, until it's approved, what are the rules? If there are any.
I look at permanent structures, and I look at a house and a barn and stuff more as a permanent structure than trees and fences and a car sitting there or something,
So we should pay for a fence. If you don't want to pay for a barn, why would you pay for
Fence is already
moving
there.
a fence?
Fence is always.
Yeah, but it costs to move it. and it costs, I mean, can you plant trees? You know, it'd be tax dollars to pay for a tree. Why aren't you complaining about
The
that?
trees, and correct me if I'm wrong, the trees and the fence are currently on the land and have
We
been,
just, we
and have
didn't
been
say
on the
anything when
land.
we planted one 2 weeks ago.
We just planted 8 new trees this
Why
spring.
didn't you say anything about using tax dollars to buy the 8 trees?
The spruce, I added a bunch.
And if you said to move the fence, it costs to move a fence, why didn't you say anything about that? You just said we could move the fence.
I'm not understanding your question. You know, the
Why are
trees-
you
trees and fence
targeting
are
the
there.
barn and nothing else?
But the barn's a permanent structure.
Yeah, but your reasoning is because it might take more tax dollars to buy it in the future. It's gonna take tax dollars to buy anything.
To buy
Fence,
trees also.
trees.
So you're talking about the difference in.
I mean, should we mow grass because it costs money to mow grass? Won't you have to reimburse us for that?
The land has a value, and that value is based on, you know, grass being on it or whatever on
And
it
trees
is on
have
it.
a value. Everybody asks us all the time for estimates on trees being removed. Somebody just called me a week ago about Teal Road, since they're doing the project. There's 5 shrubs out next to the road that want an estimate to replace them, because the city has to reimburse them for it. Why didn't you say anything 2 weeks ago when we were planting trees? I mean, are there any set limitations, are there any
You
rules?
remove trees and then you put more trees
I
in
mean,
there.
I'm
and
saying, are
I'm
you
not out there
creating,
counting trees.
are you creating this rule, or is there an actual law? If there's a proposed, or if there's a study being done, is there a law where you can't do anything with it? I'm saying, what are the limits?
Time.
Thank you. Sir?
Steve Shuley, 7315 West End Drive. I don't know about the purpose of the road, quite honestly. I understand the water system and want to do that, and that sounds like it could be done without doing a road. I have no desire to have a road in front of my home. I think the timing of the road, the timing of the barn, I think all that's very questionable. I don't want, you know, these are both my neighbors, and I don't want to have problems with either of them. But I definitely know I don't want a road back there, and I don't see the purpose in it. If the garbage guys have a problem getting in and out, well, you know what, we pay them to do that job. I'm sorry, that's tough, but they signed a contract for the way they're set up now, they'll just have to deal with that. You know, emergency vehicles get back there just fine, I haven't had any problem with that. I mean, the fire department's been back there for fireworks, and the marshal's in my driveway regularly, and I love having him do that. And the cul-de-sac up on top seems to work just fine. I've gone up there myself and turned things around, so I just don't see the purpose in it. Like I said, I just think it's kind of questionable. All of a sudden, there's a dispute, and then all of a sudden, there's barns going up, and all of a sudden, we're doing streets because we don't want a dead end.
Yeah.
And it just seems like this city or this town should have better things to concentrate on than this. We still haven't gotten the pole stuff set up yet that Scott put all that work into. We still haven't voted on that. There's still streets that need work. Ashley's done some good work here. Ron's done some good work for the town as well. But at this point, this seems like a ridiculous way to spend our time and this town's money, because these little meetings aren't free. And I think, you know, we're not going to necessarily get an unbiased opinion in this room over this particular subject. So if the town truly thinks this is what we should do, then there should be somebody other than somebody on this council who looks at it from an objective point of view and says, yes, this is what the town should do, and here are the benefits and here are the costs. I mean, anytime you're talking about something going on, there are 2 city council members involved in this. 2 of 5. That doesn't seem like the smart thing to do, is have half the council be involved in a project like this. So again, I don't see the purpose in the road. I'm not a maintenance guy, but the water I understand. Dead spots are not good for anybody, but from my understanding, we can get an easement and run water lines and fix that, and I'm all for that. The road, I just don't see the purpose in it. I like being able to look at my driveway. Thanks.
Going back to that road thing for you, I want to state what I said before, and Ron agreed with me. I never have said that I want to put a road in, but I said I would like it for an easement in case of emergencies, where it's like basically like an alleyway that could be traveled if in case there's a tornado, trees get knocked down, somebody's having a heart attack, and folks might get down, because everywhere else, everybody lives in Shady Lane, you have the railroad tracks, you have the ravine, and you have fenced in property. So unless you wanna drive through their fence, you're kinda stuck till somebody moves that tree. It's not gonna happen all the time, but if it does happen once and somebody dies getting to the hospital in time, is it worth not having that as a public, just, you know, it doesn't have, it can still even be grass, just that's,
No.
you're out way.
Well, there are cut throughs on Ron's property from Shady Lane too, but,
Yes.
and I see your point.
But I'm saying, well, if the normal.
But there's enough
person
chainsaws in that area
who
to
doesn't
cut
know-
things up
doesn't
pretty
know
quick,
their-
pretty fast.
Their, you know, their exit points, they're gonna come to dead ends and be like.
Well, we could put exits and direct them if you feel
Yeah.
that.
No, I was just thinking.
I would
just
rather
getting
have that, I
checked.
agree, I'd rather have that than a big concrete road around there, you know?
I mean, for emergency situations, I feel like you should always have the second thing, especially when you have a big tree.
And those roads are a hard packed road that's built with, you know, a road bed and stuff like that to allow heavy equipment to move, you know, when the weather conditions are, you know, wet, that sort of thing.
Well, I don't know, I've seen golf carts, skid loaders, large trucks, everything else come down along that fence line, so I'm not sure what else you need to do to it to
I
make
think if you
it
really go
passable.
deep, you'll find an old road there, because we had one there when they put in the sewers. We had to go through Ron's field, down Wesleyan Drive, because we couldn't come in Shady. And, you know, when we had 2 tornadoes go through here, it was the same thing. Yeah, we cut up the trees and got out. But
Well, we can put,
When that works good, when it's, you know, when it's dry, you can cut across
We
property.
had
actually,
problems in and out.
when it was wet, there's a tornado, it's been storming and everything. There's gravel, but we can add gravel under the grass like they do at the depot. It's certified, it's legal, it carries semis, everything, rescue vehicles, all that. But you've got grass cover there that at least hides some of it. It's fainter grass and everything. You can do something like that than a great big concrete road like out here. Then it's appeasable to you and me and everybody, you know? It's, you
Any more
know.
comments?
Dr. 750 Shady Lane. I've been back in Dayton Estates for 52 years, and the roads are fine. It's a beautiful path back there, Shady Lane, cute landscaping and everything. We do not want it made into a racetrack with circle drives and all that. It's just not needed. We've never needed it. We love it like it is. Just leave it alone.
Anybody else?
Michael Seavers, 736 Shady Lane. I'm on the first circle coming in off Dayton Road. I pull a 25-foot trailer in there, even turn it around in the circle and back it into my driveway. I don't have an issue with long vehicles. I see your trailer go back there. Big 30-foot white one. Is that not you? No? Okay, well, I apologize, I was mistaken. But anyway, I make it through there. Emergency vehicles should be able to make it through there too.
Nancy Oswald, 762 Shady Lane. I've been a resident back there way back to the 60s when my parents moved there. It's always been a nice, quiet neighborhood. There was a time when it was gravel, and the neighbors all worked together, and we took care of that. And Heather, I know there's been concern about tornadoes or what have you. We all pitch in together. We've always worked together. I don't know why we've got the problem that we've got now. We've never had it before. I do not want to see the road connected to Wesleyan. I like the fact that it's safe for our children to be back there. I like to know it's safe for my grandkids to come back there. I could rest assured when my kids lived there, when they were smaller, that I could let them go out and play in the street, and I didn't have to worry about anybody hurting them, because cars weren't going back and forth. And I want to comment that Mr. Kohler, with his own expense, has extended that cul-de-sac. He didn't have to do that, and he did do that. That's how us neighbors get along together. And I'd like to see that continue, and I'd like to see Shady Lane stay the way it is. And I don't like to have the idea that I've got an additional back lot behind my house. If I decide I wanna put something up on my back lot, am I gonna have a neighbor that I'm not getting along with, gonna turn around and cause a stink and keep me from putting something up on my own back lot? None of the buildings that Mr. Kohler has put up have been eyesores. They've been things that have looked nice, they're historic, and I don't see where there's a problem. Please leave our road alone, please.
Thank you.
Dave Lane here, 764 Shady Lane. I'd like to remind people that BS Engineering is looking at multiple solutions. Everybody seems to be stuck on there's going to be a road, it's going to be concrete, it'll have yellow lines, it'll be a raceway. That's probably the least likely of the solutions that they would bring back to the council. Probably the most likely that they'll bring back to the council is for the water purposes and water quality. Probably move the water lines through there and the electric lines through there, and as you mentioned, Joe, I think that would be a right-of-way issue more than a street issue. But you've been very clear, Ashley, from the very beginning, that there are several options that they're exploring, and I don't think that I've ever heard you or anybody else say, and the one that we want, I want, 2 people, 3 people, or 10 people, or any people want, is for it to be a roadway. People need to remember, instead of hearing what they think they heard, listen to what was actually said.
Why was it drawn on the map?
Thank you, Dave, but
Why is there a road drawn
why
on the
then
map?
would our barn, and the least likely thing that there'd be a road there, and it'd only be a right-of-way, then the least likely thing, then our barn should not have anything to do with that.
I'm probably not the one to answer that question, it's probably a council question, but I'll give my view of it as a resident and as a neighbor. That the building that you have underway, which looks to be a beautiful, the Sturbridge barn, will be a wonderful addition to the community, as are the others that you brought into the community. But that you'd start building that when the engineering had just started, hadn't been decided yet, and where some of the lines would potentially go is troubling.
Well, it just happened to fall that way, I guess.
John, you have something?
No.
I'm gonna remember, I'm John Swick, 746 Shady Lane. I've been back here just as long as a lot of others, you know. I can remember when I used to drive down between a set of trees, and it went back to Boas's house, you know. We've come a long way there, and I think everybody kind of got their, got a little bit out of context. I think I like to see the way it is. And I just remind Ron that some of these prints I've seen when I was on the board 20 years ago, you know. And I was on the board when we helped him rezone to get some of his nursery out here and some other improvements that you made over there. And I've kind of been a supporter of Ron and what he's done out here, but it kind of, what's going on kind of puts you in the middle a lot of times. And I think the gentleman over here, you echoed my sentiments exactly, you know. So, and I gotta remember that I'm talking to the board instead of, you know, most of the time I'm up there and I'm talking to you people. So I can understand where Ron's coming from, and I can understand the planning that's gone into different options. And I never heard anything said that they're gonna take your property. Matter of fact, I don't think I'd ever go for that, you know. And I think I stipulated that a month or two ago. And I just, we've got to move on in the bickering and stuff. You know, if you get like that, you need to recuse yourself from the board, both of you. You know, it doesn't make the town look good when this happens. And I know it's a hot topic for everybody up here. And I guess I'm trying to be a mediator again. And I don't like that position usually, but like I said, I've been a neighbor back here almost as long as Sue Elliott. And I think it's 68, and you were here in what? Your house back there was in 68, and I moved there in 68. So you were there before I was, so we need to get a little more control of our emotions sometimes up here. You know? I can't hear you. Thank you, because I can get windy.
Anyone else? Comments?
Gordon Hardy, back 7701 Adams Road. I don't live in town, I live next to it. I tell you something really, really disturbing. You sit there and you see people grin, you see people. But when somebody draws a finger and sets it in Mr. Kohler's paperwork or however he gets it, now, you know, all you people ain't stupid. Somebody else knows who did that. And that, you know, that, you bored, you know, you guys need to cut it out. I mean, who's bothering who? I mean, would you like it? Somebody put a finger on you? You wouldn't like it, Tyrone. You wouldn't like it. They've been doing that. That's twice that I've been to meetings, and they've been against him. And that shouldn't, you know, I mean, Joe, that's not a way to do stuff. You know that as a lawyer. That, I mean, that's child play. Whoever's doing it, somebody else knows who's doing it. Well, however he gets that, you know, you just think about it. And the town board needs to do what the town wants to do, not what the board members want to do. That's what the town wants to do. That's all I got to say.
Anyone else?
Adam Rowan, 760 Shady Lane, only been back 5 years. I think we're getting to the right area here. I just hope there's nothing drastic done of personal conflict. If there does need to be some sort of easement, you said that they get emergency vehicles back there, you know, and so be it. I mean, like I said, just hope there's nothing drastic that's done a personal attack. I mean, I look around, I see all my neighbors here. I mean, it is kind of childish. I think we all know that. I mean, I hope we just get back to. I like waving to everybody and seeing my neighbors and being friendly. I mean, I'm a 32-year-old guy. I mean, I wouldn't talk to, you know, anybody the way you guys talk to each other. So it's my personal opinion. I hope it's done for the best interest, not just because somebody hates somebody else or dislikes somebody. But yeah, that's my 2 cents, I guess. So thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Yeah, my name's Alan Kett. I live at 288 Harrison Street. Obviously, it's not part of Shady Lane, but I've traveled it many times driving around.
Yes, you have.
And yeah, and I was always taught the old adage that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't see any problems with the street. I don't see any problems with the water. When your water was designed, it was designed the fact that that was a dead end there. There aren't any problems. Why mess with it? That's all I have to say.
I can speak to that. When the water lines were put in, they were put in 12-inch water lines for growth, and the town hasn't done it in 20 years, so the water's stagnant. If they would have had the more houses, they would have been able to pull the water. And unfortunately after the Flint, Michigan situation, the water department is a lot more strict and they really check you a lot harder. Like 10, 15 years ago, I'm gonna say it wasn't as good, but they're not really checking as strong as their standards are today. And since we've had you know, they've told us, they said you guys need to move this, you're gonna add more houses, you have a 12-inch main, we should have an 8-inch. That's basically the only reason that we even caught wind of it is because of all the new standards. Nobody even, I don't think, knew about it in the last 5 years until maybe a year ago.
Ty's hitting the nail on the head. You know, when you plan for future growth, when you're running water lines, and you run those water lines by a lot of vacant property, you know, the engineers in the town assume at some point in time, that vacant land, you know, those cornfields and those, you know, big areas that are vacant, at some point in time, we'll have customers, you know, using that utility, those water lines. So you size things for that. You know, in Dayton's case, you know, that growth hasn't happened, okay? And as Ty said, you know, with IDM standards, you know, they're looking, you know, harder at a lot of different, you know, the makeup of water and our compliancy and, you know, a lot more paperwork, a lot more reporting. So those, like most government regulations, you know, just mushrooms, it becomes more and more. The underlying fact is, you know, when you loop your dead end system, your dead ends to the rest of your system, you know, it's a healthier system for all involved. And you know, Shady Lane, Wesley is just one of the dead ends. You know, we have another dead end at Delaware, another one at South Street. You know, that's part of you know, the preliminary engineering report on the South Street area is to provide a utility pathway to link it to Delaware. You know, when the IDOT redoes State Road 38, so we can go across it. I'm just trying to. You know, there's standards, and as a town council, you know, you have to step with standards. You know, somebody mentioned, you know, the town council needs to do what the town residents tell them to do. I agree 100%, 100%. You know, that's why I ran to be on the town council. You know, I felt that calling and stuff. What, you know, some people don't realize is, you know, there's things that need to be done to stay up with current standards. You know, we're going through, you know, utility lift stations, you know, upgrading those. You know, water meters are next. You know, Alan said don't fix it if it's not broken. Okay, well, your water meters work fine. Okay, but you know, there's better ways of doing things. There's more cost-efficient ways of doing things. You know, we're all not driving around with a horse and buggy nowadays. You know, we got automobiles, and you know, the buggy whip. You know, they don't make buggy whips anymore. I mean, you know, the town, there are things that need to be updated and brought to current standards. And you know, sometimes I get it. You all don't like it. Okay, I get that. You know, just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be done. You know, office upgrades. You know, bill pay. You know, you can't do anything without getting a lot of comments about it. Okay. You know, the latest is the automated bill pay thing. You know, well, you know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, the bill system that we had, you know, was top of the line. Okay. Technology's taken us a little bit further now. So, you know, we've upgraded the bill pay and saved the town quite a bit of money. Some people are unhappy because they have to do it with the bill system. You know, roads. You know, we're doing some things on roads. You know, we're doing a little bit on storm drains. You know, does the water drain out of town through the storm drains? Yes, it does. Can we improve that? You know, does it need to be maintained? Yes, it does. And we're going to upset some people, I'm sure, you know, because nobody's happy with anything. When we start walking, you know, backhoes through people's backyards to maintain these drainage ditches, I'm sure somebody's going to be upset. That doesn't mean that it's not the right thing to do. That's all I got.
I agree with Ashley on 90% of what he said there. One thing, if we need to do that loop system, that's good, and we need to do it. But who actually tells us to do the loop system? Because when I talked to Brent that we used to work here, he called me one day and said, I was talking to him one day and he said, you need to do a little more engineering on it because there's something else besides the loop system that will get you better results. And then I talked to Mike Smith at BF&S, and he says it's engineered that way, it really doesn't need it. He said, why are you doing that? But he said, well, if you want to do it, I guess it'll help a little bit. But if we actually had, who's telling us to do the loop system? I don't know because.
The item people.
Is it in writing?
Engineer or?
Glenn is the water superintendent regulator. Lafayette, that I think it was We Engineering who actually even suggested that. But what you're talking about, the second option is a booster system, which is another. It's a very high cost engineer. They have to engineer the whole town to figure out where, if they put the booster system, would be the perfect middle area of dead ends to pull the water where they would actually, because the booster system does one thing and looping does another thing. They also both help.
Well, we have a report that's good.
The looper system it's gonna pull iron, it's gonna pull the water, it's gonna do all kinds of stuff. It'll keep the chlorine levels right.
I can answer some.
Okay, and then, yeah, if you wanna add the booster, it's gonna add the chlorine levels the exact way out in Westland as Haggerty Lane, where everybody's gonna have the exact water chemical balance.
By today's standard, you know, when you put water systems in, they're always looped. You know, the subdivision that we're talking about outside town here, that will be a loop system. You know, that's the way you do things nowadays. You know, when the water system went in a while back, you know, they were dealing with, you know, a lot of houses and, you know, a lot of this, that, and the other, and so it was hard for them to do some of the things that, you know, given the chance that they would do today. You know, the town council, John, you could probably speak to a little bit, you know, the town council was presented with different options when that water system went in, and having all dead ends looped together was one of those options. You know, maybe money dictated them not doing it at that time. You know, maybe it was one of those things where they thought they could, you know, go back later and take care of it. But you know, again, you town residents expect for us to keep things up to standard in this town. You know, doing maintenance and improvements is part of that.
A loop system is good, it's good.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So if we get this new subdivision, somebody left their keys, I don't know who did.
That's mine.
I thought you did.
Gotta run this pipe all the way past the church, down to the subdivision. Are we gonna run another pipe back to loop the system? Or are we just gonna run a dead end to a loop?
You will run a dead end. I'm not an engineer. I have not. I've not seen it.
I'm just,
But
you know, kind of curious.
The system, to answer your question, yes, the pipe would, it's essentially dead end somewhere around that subdivision.
Okay.
Okay?
I built multi-family units all over the country, so I
Yes.
know what you gotta do with water.
Yes, so it's gonna stop there, okay? The entire subdivision will be looped together.
Yeah, but you won't have any way to get that water back to
No.
the system in a loop.
No, but you have
Okay.
put the 109 users, and again, that pipe would, I would certainly hope, would be put in such a way where, you know, it would allow for, you know, future expansion in that area too.
Well,
You know, we've done that all the way down Dayton Road,
well, I think we got a 12-inch pipe there,
yes.
I think, that goes to the church or
Well, that's
whatever.
correct, so,
But,
Goes past the church.
Yeah.
lines.
yeah,
so this would be a continuation of that 12-inch, and then that division would be.
well, I'm just curious, you know, you're worried about the loop on Shady Lane, you're worried about Wesleyan.
Worried about south, worried about
You know, if we
Dayton.
go one way down there to a loop, we're not really doing anything different than what we've got on Shady Lane or Wesleyan Drive now.
Yeah, you're not doing a true loop.
No.
You're not doing-
I mean, if you run the
You
second,
are.
no, if you run the second pipe back from the new subdivision, you're gonna have a loop.
No, well,
Actually, I think I think the subdivision itself creates its own loop. Water goes that way and it just that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep, I've spent 32 years as a pipe fitter, and that's what you're doing. It's recirculating the water is what you're talking about, right?
that is
The loop.
correct, yes.
Yeah, so basically that whole subdivision will just keep moving. As long as water's moving, it's not gonna get stagnant, and that's kind of what.
Yes, and that is correct, and that is the benefit of looping, you know, Wesleyan Drive and Shady Lane.
It would be its own loop,
Yes.
basically.
You know, Wesleyan Drive, you know, it stops.
Yeah, if you run a
stops at
pipe from
Stephen
one
Gill's
side
house
to
and
the
my
other,
house.
that's a loop there, and you're done. It's recirculating the water, and it keeps it from getting stagnant. That's all it is. It's recirculating the water.
It's coming from Haggerty Lane before it hits the Deerfield houses, so there's like 33,000 gallons that just sits there that has to move before, you know, even touches.
Yeah.
By the time it comes from there to a house, so we have to pull that all.
Yeah, Dayton's got, you know, so it's not a bad thing, you know, we got a lot of capacity in the ground, and that's great.
There's a lot of loops that are already in.
Absolutely, yeah. As far as dead end, if Mark was here, he could speak to it a little bit better than I can. As far as dead ends in town, you know, there's only four that we've identified. It's Wesleyan, Shady, Delaware, and South. You know, all of the Prestwick area is all looped, all Deerfield's looped, all the old town of Dayton is looped. So, you know.
It's just
that's
water
good for
movement,
us.
that's all it is.
It's good for us.
So, is the looping of that, which is okay if it needs looped, not against that, where's the report that says it needs looped? That's what I'd like to see. Because I've never been privy to any information why all I hear is these other people saying, maybe there's a better way of looping it. And I'd like to know where that loop.
I stopped just for a second, it's kind of off topic, but
Yeah.
we can continue that for the council meeting.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get back where we're at here. Any more comments from residents? Okay,
Yeah, right.
council members, did you want to make a motion?
I would go back to the motion that I made earlier that we did not vote on, but make a motion that we have council do what's necessary to stop building of a permanent structure in this or any of the other areas that were had the engineering report.
That motion was to have the area plan commission act,
Okay.
not the council. The motion was to make the area, have the area plan commission
Made aware.
made aware and ask them to stop the barn. That's what your motion was.
Yes.
And all that requires is a second to that motion, a vote on it, and if it passes, ask Director Fahey to do what you wanted, and then she has to call us hers.
I have a question before anybody seconds anything. So if he took this there, he got his permit, it's technically hitting all the setbacks except for that we could possibly have utility easement going through it, is what we're going to hold off until they see if the utility easement has to go through there. Does that mean?
Get those,
Because, I mean, if this is a subdivision, I mean, if it's platted subdivision, broken off lots, is that how it's structured? Because if it is technical aspects, I know area plan won't reject it. They'll do it on conditions, but I think we'd have to I think we'd have to have it as a condition that we suggest area plan.
That depends on what Sally says,
Yeah.
after she studies this, about what she thinks.
Tyrone,
Is this a
the
separate-
barn is out enough. Understand one thing, the barn, there's 50 foot, 60 foot between wherever you're at the barn and the edge of the property. There's plenty of room for utilities, easements. The only thing that a corner of the barn might be on, one corner, is if you put a big road, concrete road up there, which is bigger than the utilities easement. So, I actually set it in, I could have set it way, I could have set it.
We don't know any of that because we haven't had the engineering report.
Is this lot, for example, is this separate lots or is this considered one lot? Like your whole area, here's a separate lot, so
One lot.
So it's one lot.
So what I'm saying, I tried to set it up
Yeah.
so you could still do 90, you could still do utilities and all that, and if the corner is in the way of the road, if that corner is in the way of a road, that means that entire road, that entire easement, that entire right-of-way is 100% on our property. None on Ashley's, none on anybody else's. So, they can stop it whatever they want. We're gonna build that thing, and if they wanna tear it down, you tear it down. Just, I'm gonna build that, I'm gonna build it as fast as I can, I don't care what Sally or anybody says. I think I've already understand, we have the legal right, we've got the permit, you can't just stop it, and if you guys want it later, and you decide to destroy our property by taking more land, take the barn with it, and pay us for it. And I'm just trying to be nice. We wanna
At
be able
more
to
of
build.
taxpayers' expenses.
Well,
There's got to be.
it's your choice. If you put in a road, you're spending, you put in a road, you're gonna spend $200,000 anyway. What's a little barn gonna cost? See, you don't seem to be worried about taxpayers' money on anything else in this town.
Do you actually, this report is supposed to be done?
Last week when I talked to him, Mark had told me that it would be presented to the council in mid-July, it would be available for council review. So we're literally weeks away.
Nothing's gonna change today, so. Do what you need to do. Take it to court, do whatever you want. We'll take it to court and we'll fight it, so. You know?
Can we make a motion? Okay.
Can I change my motion?
Send whoever seconded their one.
Yeah.
I would like the town of Dayton not to be limited to only dealing with area plan, to temporarily stop the building of the building until after the engineering report has been disposed of. So, maybe area plan is the first step along the line. If that doesn't work, then, I don't know if it's legal action or what it is.
Well, it's a good thing we don't have a road plan, isn't it, guys?
Yep.
Because that's the only reason that's stopping.
Looking
I'm
for
not
an engineering
Okay.
report.
this bullshit.
Motion's on the table, is there a second?
Second?
She,
Second, to hold off until we get the report back to this person.
His motion is to contact area plan, and if area plan doesn't work, he wants to leave.
That's not what his motion was essentially to the area plan.
Yes.
See what they have to say.
It sounds like
Then
you
you will
can clear
then you
what
will
it
make
is.
independent judgments about where to go from there.
Okay. Let that be my
By the
motion.
way, let the record reflect that Mr. Kohler withdrew from the meeting.
What's the motion?
The motion is that the matter of Mr. Kohler's barn and the permit that was granted be returned to the Area Plan Commission with a request that they review it with the council's view that they want the barn stopped pending the engineering reports. I think that's putting it in a better language, maybe.
Yes.
Are you supposed to notify the landowner before you take his land?
Well,
Well,
we're not
they're
even
not
at that
looking-
point
that's-
yet. You're way ahead. That's a condemnation case, and in a condemnation case, yes, there are summonses issued and all kinds of things done. So, but you are
Then we're gonna
100 miles away from that kind of problem right now.
Okay, there's been a motion made, properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We're gonna take care of that.
The clerk treasurer should send that down there with the motion.
All right.
Make a motion to meeting adjourned.
Oh, wait,
Wait a minute.
hold it. I'm sorry, we have.
You asked me to do something that we need just a clarification on the Dollar General issue. And Sarah, correct me if I make a misstatement here, but the fact of the matter is, we've been asked if the town has any objection to the Dollar General people working in the easement for the purpose of putting their utilities in. We think that we've already done that by approving the whole thing, but they want a letter or something from the board that says, yes, they could work in the easement to finish up their utilities, I guess. And what we know is that Sarah has a connection with the engineering company, and what we'd like to do is just call them and tell them to get with it. Isn't that about it?
And if I could add, I spoke with the title company this afternoon, and they do need a formal recorded document that states that the town is giving permission for activity to occur in the easement that the town has on the property. That needs to be recorded at or around the time of closing. It's my understanding that the closing is scheduled for July 6th, but the title company is willing to be flexible on when that document actually gets submitted. just needs to be an agreement for it. And based on our review of what they need a consent for and what the town has already approved, we don't see that there would be any issue. But at the board's discretion, we can go ahead and prepare a document.
Or tell them to prepare the document for our approval, because this is not an expense that the town should bear, it's the developer ought to be doing that. But we just want authority to go ahead and get it done, so that Dollar General can get on with the project. And it's a title insurance question, not much of anything else.
How would you make this motion?
Just move, the lawyers have the authority to solve the title problem, and any way that we can get it done quickly, so that we don't impede the process.
Make a motion that the lawyers take on the title issue legally and quickly, to get it done legally with Dollar General.
Second.
Been a motion made, properly seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We'll take care of that.
I'm good.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? On the money for the work in the town hall, did we allocate some of that for maybe a sound system that actually works and maybe getting away from recording to cassette tapes?
We're working on the recording issue.
Recording issue is.
And I think Tyrone's working on the speaker issue.
Okay.
We were gonna move some stuff, but they said to wait till they're painted. We got another PA system donated, but we gotta figure out how to rig it up with, because 2 mics will be for it, and 2 mics will be for that or something.
Okay.
I have a question about the hours for the town hall being open to pay your bills.
Okay, quickly, because that's kind of a council meeting type thing, not this meeting, but go ahead.
Well, excuse me, I thought it was a town meeting. But I came down here the other day when it was a legal time to come to supposedly pay my water bill. It was 15 to 20 minutes after 9 and the place was locked up. I missed the 2 steps out front because I don't come to town hall that often, and ended up face down on the sidewalk out there because nobody was here to open the door, which was supposed to be open at 9 o'clock to pay my water bill.
Okay, so can I direct
So-
that to the clerk?
I asked the clerk why they weren't open. I had to call them to let me in on the back door.
The clerk runs her office. We don't have authority over the clerk.
Oh, so she can do her own hours now? How
runs her
convenient.
office.
No wonder we go through a paid online system so that she can come and go as she pleases.
That's something you can direct with her.
I just did.
There is a utility board for a reason.
Yeah.
Right, and the utility board meets when the regular board meets,
Oh, so,
and that can be certainly addressed at that time. It's not on your,
No, not on the agenda for tonight.
dear God, there's nothing on the agenda tonight that needs to make the
A lot
town
of other things
smoother.
were talked about that weren't on the agenda tonight.
Yeah, oh well.